Hey guys, it's the Iconic, and in this video I'm going to be going over my 3.23 Affliction League Star build, the Sentinel of Radiance Guardian. This guide is going to be very beginner friendly, so I'm going to leave timestamps for the various sections. If you already know what you need, you can hop straight there. Iconic from the future here to clarify a few changes that have been made to the build since I recorded the rest of the video. Firstly, while the PoB has not updated to have the transfigured gems, I have added some simulations in the configurations to mimic what we currently have very accurately to SRS of enormity, and as such we are able to more accurately look at what to expect in game in terms of damage numbers and all of this. That being said, this is our current setup. Because we only have 6 minions, we have switched from elemental focus, or we have switched to elemental focus from unleash, and we are also using minion fresh meat, as minions should be dying, or your SRS should be dying within the duration of their buff, and that increases the damage of minion instability. That said, I would not look at this full DPS number as your DPS stick, because PoB calculates it like it is a regular SRS attack and uses their attack cast speed to calculate its DPS. This is the number you really want to be paying attention to, the average damage, as this is the number, this is how much damage every SRS popping does. Essentially, this is what you want to look at realistically. Now, to talk about specters and charms we are seeing in game, the brief TLDR is the League Spectres are insane right now, and they are very strong, giving you up to level 25 plus auras by just having the perfect versions of the aura summoned at any time. That being said, as of the moment of recording this, which is like roughly, I think I already said it, but 2 days into the league, the perfect fiery cannibal, which is supposed to be the spectre that provides the purity of fire aura, is bugged, and it just walks around, which it doesn't attack, it doesn't give you an aura, it doesn't do anything. It just bugged right now. Hopefully they fix it soon, but for now I would stay clear of using it until we know that there's a fix. I recommend, regardless of what you decide your spectre combo is going to be, you should always use your Tukohama Vanguard for the elemental exposure. Minus 25 to fire res is just too strong to not use. That said, your other two specters are very flexible. You can choose to just use the classic ones, but I really recommend you use the season specters. Specters I recommend include the perfect guardian turtle, the fiery cannibal. I'm going to pull it up real quick. The forest tiger, rather, I recommend this one. It gives you haste. The guardian turtle gives you determination. The warlord gives you endurance charges, which translates to damage in the way of resistances applied to your minions, and it also gives you a level 28 vitality. It's a really strong choice. Keep in mind there are some that are cheaper, some are more expensive. Perfect warlord and tiger, very expensive right now. However, the turtle is on the cheaper side, for example. So in the way of charms, there are a couple good options, like really strong options for you. I'm going to make a more in-depth video covering corpse choices and spectre choices, and I will be leaving the link to this page in the description. However, if your recommendations include this as the very first one you get, because it's onslaught, attack, cast, and move speed, is just a more comfortable playstyle. You have your SRS out quicker, you move around more quicker. It's just more comfortable. Good choices are also like attack block chance and spell block chance. Those are solid choices. You can look at of the necromancer and give your minions increased elemental resistance, which give them more damage because of our unique helmet, and so on and so forth. But I would recommend you check out the video once I put it out there. Okay, starting out, let's go over what kind of playstyle to expect with the Sentinel Radiance Guardian. We are going to be scaling a whole lot of minion health and damage to buff the Sentinel Radiance burn damage output, giving you a nice clear at all stages of the game, starting as early as Act 3 after you ascend, and going as late as red maps and Uber bosses. As we are scaling minion life, we are going to be pairing the Sentinel Radiance with another archetype that scales incredibly well with minion life, Popcorn Summon Raging Spirits, for very high single target damage numbers. For those who do not know what either of these skills are, don't worry, I will be explaining them shortly. So what exactly is the Sentinel of Radiance? The Sentinel of Radiance is a minion that is granted by the Guardian Ascendancy Radiant Crusade. When summoned, The Sentinel of Radiance emits a burn aura which damages enemy based on how much maximum life he has. He also swings a massive sword that does considerable damage early on, but as we don't scale this attack, it kind of falls off when we get to more difficult content. He also taunts all tauntable enemies near him and takes 20% of the damage from hits you would have taken otherwise. Keep in mind that does not apply to dots as they are not hits. And little known fact, I have also nicknamed him the big guy. Next, what are Summon Raging Spirits? Summon Raging Spirits, or SRS for short, is a skill that summons flaming skulls that seek out and attack enemies. We are going to be pairing them with a keystone on the skill tree called Minion Instability. This keystone causes minions that drop below 50% health to explode, dealing a third of their HP or 33% as fire damage to nearby enemies. We are going to be pairing them with a support gem known as Infernal Legion, which causes our SRS to take fire damage every second they are alive, eventually dropping below 50% HP and then exploding. In the description below, I am going to include two POBs. The first will be the League Star Guide POB, which has a step-by-step leveling progression showcasing when to allocate what nodes on the skill tree, with additional information in the notes to clarify some of the more confusing swaps. And the second is going to be a fully fleshed out endgame version with some information on where to get the unique items for any SSF players watching. You will also find a guide on gems to take as mission rewards in the notes of the League Start POB. But for a quick leveling guide after killing Hillock, you want to take either Rolling Magma or Smite as your first spell. You'll be taking Smite and using Ancestral Call as a second support gem. Prioritize getting to the Sacrifice node by level 8, which is when we swap to Summon Raging Spirits and link it to melee splash support. And depending on your gear, your socket colors, we are either going to go in added fire damage or minion damage. Added fire damage being the preferable choice, as we will not want to use minion damage once we switch over to minion instability. You will use SRS as your main damage without switching support gems until you ascend, and then you are going to switch support gems into Infernal Legion and minion life. The gameplay loop of this build will look something like this. You're going to summon your Sentinel of Radiance, and this is going to last for about 30-32 seconds. Then you're going to shield charge around the map, casting Convocation, which is a spell that pulls your minions to where you are. The moment you pull him to you, the packs of mobs are going to melt, and then you just shield charge to the next pack, and then you Convocate again, and you rinse and repeat. Whenever you run into tougher mobs, you're going to drop some SRS, potentially drop your curse, and everything is just going to die, essentially, without too much effort. For the Pantheon, we're going to be opting for the Brine King. Even after we get Purity of Elements and we are freeze immune, we still want this for the stun mitigation it provides. And then for the minor gods, we are going to be going for the Soul of Aberath until we cover Burning Ground immunity with a Watcher's Eye, because Burning Ground is very, very dangerous. Gear-wise, in the low-budget setup, we are looking to prioritize gear affixes in the order Resistances until max early res and at least 20% chaos res. Then prioritize max life on every non-weapon piece of gear. So that is shield, helmet, you name it, you want life on it. And finally, minion damage and minion life. When you can start buying some of the uniques in endgame PoB, you want to prioritize a Formless Inferno helmet, as it allows us to scale minion life with minion fire resistance over their cap. Next up is the Animate Guardian. We are opting for a more expensive setup which will get our Animate Guardian more than 100% of its life as recovery per second. Why do we need this much recovery? Because we plan to use the Guardian Blessing gem, which allows us to run an extra aura without reserving any mana or health, at the cost of our Animate Guardian degenerating up to 14.3% of its maximum health as physical damage every second, which we are going to reduce by picking up physical damage reduction nodes on the tree. Side note, armor does not apply to physical dots, just physical damage reduction and generic damage reduction. We also do not want our AG dropping to half of his life, as this will trigger minion instability, causing him to just poof with all the gear we gave him. So you want to make sure you have the specific layers needed to get him to absurd levels of regen before you start using him. On the topic of the most important layers for the Animate Guardian's regen, Critical Pelts, which provides a 10% life regen per second, almost entirely negating the Guardian's Blessing degen by itself. The second layer and the biggest layer for the Animate Guardian's regen, however, comes in the form of the Mask of the Stitch Demon. This removes the AG's energy shield, but gives it a 1% life regen for every 500 max energy shield that was removed, which means all we have to do is stack a ton of energy shield and we will give the Animate Guardian a ton of regen. So how are we going to get so much energy shield that the Animate Guardian regens over 100% of its life per second? Well, we do it with this handy node called Grave Intentions. This is a node that gives our minions 20% of their maximum life as energy shield. And you may already have picked up on this, but we are in fact scaling a ton of minion life with the build already for damage. The combination of these mechanics makes our Animate Guardian nigh immortal, with the only things that can kill it being things that stop our regen. So I would still be careful taking him to places like Obermaven. And side notes, there is a mod that can roll on essences pretty frequently in my experience, and this makes it so enemies, i.e. your minions, and you cannot regen above 50% life. And for oversight reasons, on GGG's part at least, this is not supposed to affect our minions, but it currently does, and will stop our Animate Guardian from regening over 50% of his life. Now what happens then is he's going to degen because of the Guardian's Blessing, and once he hits 50%, which is where the mod stops hampering your regen, minion instability kicks in and explodes your Animate Guardian. So if you are going to be running essences, I would recommend you desummon your Animate Guardian. Now, how do we desummon the Animate Guardian? All you have to do is socket and unsocket your Animate Guardian, and he will still be there. You can still call him whenever you want, but he would not be there until you resummon him. We are also looking to equip our Animate Guardian with Elemental Weakness on Hit Gloves, which applies an extra free curse to enemy bosses. Bonus point if you find one with a percent life regen mod and /or fire resistance as an affix. This will make your Animate Guardian recover more because fire resistance equates to maximum life, and maximum life equates to more energy shield, and that equates to more regen. And then of course percent life regen is just percent life regen. It's really big. To accommodate the Animate Guardian's newly found curse, we are going to equip him with a Wind Scream. This increases his curse limit by 1, making it so he doesn't overwrite our curses when applying his own, as well as further increasing his resistances. And lastly, we just want to give our Animate Guardian the Dying Breath Staff, which acts as a buff stick for ourselves and our minions. As it buffs our auras, it makes curses stronger on enemies, and it just makes everyone do more damage within a radius, which is us and your other minions. By this point, you guys can clearly see how important the Animate Guardian is. But aside the Animate Guardian, we still have a couple of important other layers. Next, we are going to be going over our Spectres of choice. The Spectres we're going to be using are 1 Tsukuhama Vanguard. This Vanguard is going to summon a totem, which will cause enemies to get 25% fire exposure, which in essence reduces their fire resistance by 25%. We're also going to be picking up 1 to 2 Carnage Chieftains. They are going to be generating frenzy charges for us and our minions, giving our minions and us more attack speed, move speed, and damage. And then, if we do have a third Spectre, we are going to opt for the Pale Seraphim. The Pale Seraphim debuffs enemies and increasing the amount of damage they take. Now, why I said 1 to 2 Carnage Chieftain just depends on if you have access to the PoE Seraphim. If you do not currently have access to the PoE Seraphim, you're going to go for the two Carnage Chieftains. But if you do have access to a PoE Seraphim, you go for just 1 Carnage Chieftain. So on the topic of Spectres, I'm going to show you where we can find the different Spectres. We can find the Tokohama Vanguards in Act 6 in the Mudflats region. You just have to travel to the coast, and while you're leveling up, feel free to pick this up, by the way. Go into the Mudflats, and just killing some of the mobs that show up, you should be able to find the Tokohama Vanguard before too long. Let me switch to Race Spectre, and you should be able to find one before too long, like I said. Tokohama Warrior, there we go. This is the Tokohama's Vanguard. So it's as easy as that to pick up the Spectre. Next up, we have the Carnage Chieftains. Carnage Chieftains are actually also very simple to find. You just have to go to Act 7 and the Ashen Fields, I believe. There we go. This is where we are going to find our Carnage Chieftains to use for our build. Just look for big monkeys and hover on them when you do kill them. Carnage Apes. I don't think I've seen any yet. Typically doesn't take too long. You are looking for, again, Monkey Pack. So this is a Carnage Chieftain. He just died, and you should be able to hover on it, and there we go, Carnage Chieftain. This guy right here, the big one. And then for the PoE Seraphim, if we wanted to find a PoE Seraphim, all we have to do is message on the global chats, global channel 6666. There are lots of people who are very happy to help if they are currently online and they have the Spectre in their bank. All you're going to have to do is you're going to just have to ask. They invite you, you jump to their hideout. You're going to desecrate a couple of times until you see the Spectres you're looking for. The Spectre in question, the PoE Seraphim, looks like, well, this one with the 6 legs. So if I were to desecrate, you can see right here, this one on the ground right here, Spectre, that one that's currently highlighted, that's the PoE Seraphim. If you do not want to get it from another player, it's actually more annoying to get. You're going to have to go into get a beyond map, and you're going to have to be quick about it, because once they die, their corpses despawn in a few seconds. But once you kill a PoE Seraphim, if you resurrect it, it would be added to your Spectre bank, and you can just desecrate and pick it up from there. So on the endgame version, we are currently using a timeless jewel. While this is by no means mandatory, it can provide up to 320% increased minion health, which is a lot. That is a lot of power, and it should be gotten if you can get your hands on one. That being said, there are ways to search for timeless jewels on PoE, because this is very seed number specific. Like the one I'm showcasing, for example, is seed number 103,720. So if someone were to drop 103,720, this is exactly how to show up on your PoB. If there's enough interest, I can make a video guide on how to find seeds using PoB, and then you can use that as a resource to find other seed numbers that would have this Axiom Warden node or Slumlords being 80% increased damage. This being the increased life being the preferred over increased damage. Okay, so we have covered quite a bit already, and we honestly could still go in depth into more, but I think this is where I'm going to end it so the video doesn't drag on too long. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down below or message me on Discord. I'm more than happy to help in any way I can. And that being said, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.